the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Boo.
Dude, at least I got ear sweat happening. What's wrong?
Well, I thought I saw something. Last week, my ankles got fucking absolutely just gnawed upon by every mosquito, I think, in the
Really?
1 mile. Dude.
Where's all these mosquitoes coming
That's what we were
from?
making jokes about. I'm like, they're at the tail end. And then I went in the house, it was like nothing. And I think Friday.
I would think that if you had multiple days that were over 100 degrees, which we have had, or
there would be no standing
there would
water
be no
for
fucking bugs anywhere.
I can tell you that doesn't exist in my backyard anywhere. And my pond out front circulates. It's like it's an over excessive pump. So
and then you just go out there and pour bleach in it every once in a while.
Yeah, it kills everything fucking in it. But yeah, I think I got like Friday or something, and the new table Venus got for the living room has like the pseudo fakey like joinery work that makes it look like a farm table.
Yeah.
So it's got these little pins that come out from one of the legs, and having lived with a high standing table for so long, like when I exit the table in a way that is conducive to someone exiting a table for the last 12 something years or something. So this ornate, non-functional fucking leg pin has slapped my ankle, my shin, repeated times. And if you punch into the YouTube episode, you see that like my shin has scabs from me like scraping against it anyway. So I did that, and in doing so, mildly grazed a mosquito bite that I didn't know I had. And then I'm like, oh man, why is that itch so bad? And then like I was sitting at the other end of the table, I think Saturday or Sunday, and I exit out the table on the other end with the other leg, mildly graze a mosquito bite. I'm like, where the fuck did all these? Oh, because we were Wednesday. Like my ankles were absolutely like I had 4, like right at the sock.
You just trashed yourself.
Yeah, it was. Man, what the fuck is going on? And then I think because Piper she was out somewhere where she got bit all up too. Like,
that's crazy.
It's stupid. Where are all the mosquitoes coming from?
It's rare if we see mosquitoes at our house. Seriously.
I wonder if that has to do with the road? Like turbulence?
I mean,
they're terrible flyers.
Is there water in the creek that runs over there on the other side of the street?
I don't think there's one. No.
There's nothing in it?
I'm only 90% positive. I mean, I don't think there's green anywhere. Maybe, but I mean, I read a thing that they only need like a teaspoon of water to breed in. So, I mean, if someone, really what it may be
someone just spilled
someone's pool.
Right.
Like
that hasn't been cleaned.
That hasn't been cleaned. Someone's like not a renter's pool that's not being taken care of.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing in SoCal. My uncle did that when he retired for a while. Like just mosquito abatement.
Oh.
Like they would fly drones over, this was Lancaster, Palmdale.
Like
they would fly drones over neighborhoods, and if it looked like you had a pool or
that was green
or something, they would send a county employee to your door, knock on your door, and if you didn't answer or it was unoccupied, there were clearances for someone to side yard or over a fence spray pesticide into the pool because the mosquito problem was so atrocious down there.
Well, it's fascinating because here we have over the last several years, they spray and you'll get notifications or whatever that we're going to be spraying it, whatever, or here. And I haven't seen any of that this year at all.
I would
unless they're keeping it a secret.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they're spraying Soylent Green or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Or the goats drink all the water and there's nothing left for mosquitoes.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they're getting
like
bread
driving
somewhere.
up to. I mean, you've probably seen it when you were doing that commute. But like on McCourtney, like all of the Nutty Crunchies or the Don't Tread on Me's that put the organic garden, no spraying,
right
in like the culverts right off the main thoroughfare roads. You're like, dude, you aren't growing a fucking garden right next to McCourtney.
Right.
Like, come on. Dude, seriously?
Well, you see those signs every once in a while just on like rural roads where it says, no spray.
Yeah.
No spray.
No spray. Organic garden. Or
and there's nothing there.
Yeah. Dude, your shit looks field. Just like everyone else over here on McCourtney or Wolf Road or Rough and Ready or whatever. That's star thistle.
Those are the most organic weeds I've ever seen.
Yeah. You need to kill that shit. Star thistle.
Yeah.
Ain't no problem.
Jeez. Well, sorry to hear you got bit up. Maybe we can hang out and just watch your ankles this week after the show. Just spend
that was the.
Just put them up on the table for like 10 minutes. We'll just watch and see how many mosquitoes come grab them.
No.
Yeah. No. I mean, you'll know this week, so at least you can smack them away.
That's not a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Why?
Oh my God. Nope. That was just a bead of sweat.
Wait, that's one of my. No, that's just a bead of sweat.
Yeah, and if you got this far, welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast.
Yeah, hopefully we're sounding other than my shitty voice tonight, but hopefully we're sounding every bit as good as we normally try to.
Right.
Because we have a Pyle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. Ulanzi doesn't make mixers.
That's right.
So, at least not that I could find within the 5 minutes, 10 minutes it took last week for you to drive home.
Right. Because that was a quick search.
I'm going to try and punch that through. I bet it's probably on like, God, what's the Yahoo, eBay, Google thing that's the polar opposite to like our eBay over there, like auction, get anything components.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
I bet it exists over there.
Oh, probably.
And there's a whole bunch of people that are going, duh, it's...
Right, and I can't think of it.
Because it'll bug me.
Yeah. No, you'll remember it in like 5 minutes.
Probably.
But welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast. I'm Jim.
I'm the Lord Fu.
And we are episode, is it 206?
206.
Yeah, 206. So we're rolling. We're rolling. I've been sick. How about you?
No.
I have not been happy the last
even when I get
3 or
sick,
4 days.
I'm not really sick.
No.
As is noted by
Well,
COVID.
I mean, it comes to my brain, weirdly, that I haven't really been sick in a long time. And, I mean, I haven't had COVID.
Yeah.
And
being housebound kind of does that.
Yeah, well, that and like I haven't had the flu. I haven't had any sort of ailment of any kind, and then all of a sudden I got like just a head cold. So no COVID. I didn't get COVID.
Right.
Thought I had a sinus infection, so I went into like urgent care. Like, hey man, probably got a sinus infection. They're like, nope, you just got a really bad head cold, and take some Flonase and some whatever. And I'm like, cool, man.
Yeah, but you did test.
Oh, yeah, I was negative.
See? And that's, some people just go the other way, right? They're like, I don't want it. I don't want to know, so I don't want to test.
Right.
Like, you were close in symptoms. I would have.
Yeah.
Right? But some
absolutely.
people don't. And then you would have potentially, if you would have looked at it from what if you were positive, but you didn't want to know, how far would someone have gone?
I mean, I wouldn't want it to be true that I had it, but at the same time, like, I have people at my house that I don't want to.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I was like, it's kind of started out with a little bit of a sore throat.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was like a thing with COVID. And then, and then it just full on hit me. And I was like, oh man, this is like a sinus infection and like pressure and like lots of mucus and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I better take a COVID test and make sure.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's negative. Good.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
And then ended up going to the like I said, the minor emergency or the whatever, urgent care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I took a COVID test and it's negative. So I know it's not that. And just kind of think it might be a sinus infection. And she's like, well, it's pink, it's not red, and it's not inflamed, and it's, it's just you have a bad head cold. Oh, okay. It is really bad.
Yeah.
I'm not happy.
I can confirm.
Yeah.
For 100%. And I think we're here for a while. Like
anything's COVID.
It could be, and I'm okay with that because I think that's just the new reality of the.
Oh yeah.
I think it'll just, and I say that because I'm still reading these articles of late. I think I read one Sunday or Monday during lunch break at work. It was someone in a young author or something like that in Los Angeles who's got all the boosters, was a minder of P's and Q's, doesn't attend massive social things, really kept to herself.
Yeah.
As far as like, not concerts and movies and shit like that. She was apprehensive and always mindful of COVID stuff, and vaccinated and boosted. Like all the stuff, and wearing masks out in public.
Right.
She got COVID, and then she got the drug that they are giving some people, the Paxlovid.
Okay.
Whatever the preventative drug is, she actually got that like right in the onset.
The horse dewormer?
Yeah. Yeah. The ivermectin.
Uh-huh.
So she got the pharmaceutical preventer or abater to COVID and got through it, but it kicked her ass, and now she's got long COVID. She's got stuff, side effect upon side effect stuff. So it's still a Wheel of Fortune thing for some people. So things are being walked back and people are becoming more like socially accepted of just, hey, if it happens, it happens.
It's coming for everybody.
Right. And that's fine. I think that's, as long as you're not being nonchalant about it. But this is still serious. This goes sideways for a whole bunch of people.
When I got concerned was when I couldn't really smell or taste anything.
Oh.
Because I was so congested.
Right.
I couldn't smell or taste anything. But in my mind, it was like, oh shit, I can't smell or taste anything, so I better fucking take a test.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Like, we keep lemons handy just for shits and giggles, but also, like, really, can you taste it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If Venus sneezes, like, 2 times in a row, I'm making COVID-19 jokes. So,
That's how we are.
We, like, chant
it must be COVID.
We chant it like the 2319 in Monsters, Inc. Like, I'm doing that. If someone sneezes or coughs or clears their throat wrong in the house, it's a COVID-19.
But isn't that like a fear when you're out in public also, where you're like, yeah, or hachoo, or clear your nose or some shit like that, and someone's gonna look at you funny.
Oh, dude,
and like
the last couple times I go out, like Home Depot or grocery store on my own, and I've got like a tickle. I'll do that inside the car.
Yeah.
If I got something, I'll clean the entire throat out before I get out of the car, because it's like, oh, this is the motherfucker right here.
Exactly.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to. Oh, there's a reason he's wearing the mask. Because he's fucking positive.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Well, we watched our neighbor's cat kind of house sat the cat right across the street while they were gone last week, and he came over to bring over an envelope, and I think it was Monday morning, and he comes over. It was Monday, and he comes over and he opens the door, and I'm like, "Hey, man!" And I sounded like really bad, and I looked terrible because I just did not feel good. Right. He like hands it to me, and he looks at me and goes, "Oh," and he just starts backing up. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I feel like shit."
He was assuming the protocol.
Oh yeah, he was like, "Oh, he's got the fucking COVID."
He's got it. Shit.
And I was like, "Oh, I had just taken." I'm like, "I took a COVID test. I'm negative." And I'm like, I just got like a head cold, and he just sort of kept like backing up.
Yeah, he's like, no.
And I it was like, sorry, I know I'm negative.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
I ended up talking to him for like 5 or so minutes, but
and to his perspective, right? There's so much. When we take a test, oftentimes I'm more comfortable in at least keeping 2 different manufacturers in the house because there was enough instances of false positives or people trying to muddy the water with, I feel fine, but we're, positive carriers.
Yeah.
That even if in the face of, if I'm looking at someone that is clearly visibly wrecked and they tell me, oh no, it's negative, I'm still
right.
I'm still like,
yeah.
I tell you what,
yeah,
I'm gonna step back here 6 feet. You have a great fucking day.
No, and I don't.
And I'm going back. Yeah, and
I don't blame.
I can't begrudge anyone. Yeah,
no,
for assuming protocol.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
It's yeah, I'll cover my face. And you can grab on this.
Turns out I took a test and I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's going to be a boy.
It was the wrong test.
Oh, yeah.
I peed on the stick. Is that not what I'm supposed to do?
How do I do this?
Yeah. So that was, I hadn't really had to take a test on my own. Like the only time I ever had COVID tests is when I had my appendix out.
Oh.
Right? And I hadn't really had any scaries, so never really had to take one.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting chemistry set. Like I felt like I needed a bubbling flask with blue liquid in some, some
chemistry goggles,
some
and
stuff
shit
floating out of it and shit, and like coily up things and liquid juices going all over. I was like, oh, this is fascinating.
I'm Walter Whiting this shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm making the blue stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting and funny. But I feel like we've kind of gotten away pretty good at my house. I mean, only Chandler's had it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I've seen some articles talk about like, here's the people that haven't had it yet.
Right.
And I don't know what it is. It's just we're overly cautious. We just have been lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more of it than anything else. Because it's not like we haven't traveled.
Right.
I mean, we haven't been on planes, but we've been to other cities and places and stayed in quite a few different hotel rooms.
Mm. I've seen a couple articles. I mean, I think about this time last year, there were a number of people putting out the, raise your hand if you still haven't got it. And at that point, I was like, yeah, sure, and it was like a little badge. And I think in the last probably year, as
most have fallen,
most of those people have fallen, and now the articles in the last 2 months or so, particularly since I've gotten it, has turned into. If you think you haven't got COVID, chances are you probably did, but it was so mild it just went right through your thing.
See, I kind of wonder that too.
Yeah.
If maybe we have had it. And Shan swears, she still swears that it's highly likely that she got it right at the beginning. Remember when we went to the
Tiki Bar?
The Tiki Bar. Yes.
What was it? Is it Tiki Bar? No, it's not.
Whatever the name
Island Punch Bag.
I think it's the Tiki Bar, or at least we call it that.
Is it a prison?
But anyway, she was sick that night, and we were hanging out, and she just felt like shit. And we went home, and she just crashed.
And that would be mildly hilarious because that would have been the super bad dog that was contagious, and would wreck.
Well, and that was in January. Right?
Yeah, that was the early guy.
That was right at the very beginning. Yeah. And she swears she had it then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if that's the case or not. But I mean, she's in a highly contagious facility all the time, with school and stuff. So I don't know if that's.
I need to check in with Xander and see because the high school, we're not getting notifications anymore. Mm-hmm. But they had migrated that alert system to, we're not going to send out, weekly, if you want to see positive tests or whatnot, And if your child was in a class, then you have to do this legwork and go over here and, look at that stuff.
Well, that's interesting.
I don't know if they have that this year.
I'm still getting messages from my office about we have a positive COVID in building whatever.
Oh.
And if you are within X number of feet of that person, you'll get a message.
Well, that's good.
And then if they get a certain number of positive COVIDs within a certain time frame, they get put on a kind of a list from, I don't know, OSHA or whoever. I don't even know. The CDC.
Are you talking about the people or
the company?
The company.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that puts them in this category.
Uh-huh.
And then if they have more positive COVID, I don't know what happens if they get more positive COVID. I can't even talk.
Good Lord, man.
If they get more COVID cases, then I don't know what happens.
Oh.
But at one point we got a mail like, oh, we're out of that now. We're back into normal.
Oh.
And it was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I'm not in the office right now.
Maybe they locked down the companies. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see how.
And I hadn't heard of anyone else doing that or haven't ever seen that at their company. But that
listen,
happened.
Buddy, your company is becoming a super spreader, so we need you to dial back your people in office until you walk through a bunch of these cases.
Right.
Oh, how many people in the company are positive now? Okay, now you're back into the green, and you can have people 100%.
And I think it has to do with the number of employees versus the number of positive cases you get.
That would make sense.
And then what I thought was fascinating is it seemed like this summer we had more positive cases than we had for, some major length of time going back to last summer.
Yeah.
Like just in the last spring and early summer, we had so many more positive cases being reported.
I think enough stuff got walked back with Omicron being as contagious as it was.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And at least, here's to hoping if you're one of those people that was a mild case and you don't have long COVID. But a lot of people, it's a manageable experience.
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure. I don't know that I don't know that we would ever see I think whatever it is, non-COVID, it would have to be an epidemic of some other thing that's really bad in order for us to go back to like a lockdown situation.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 years has really just shown us data on what to expect out of it, because at the beginning it was like there's a lot of fear involved in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. It's like jumping into the deep end of the pool. You don't know what's at the bottom.
Mm.
And I think in order for, as a country or as a race population or whatever, in order for us to ever have a situation where we go into a lockdown situation again, it would have to be something pretty bad.
It's
don't you think?
Yes. And this conversation here, you and I both followed or watched Casey Neistat's stuff. Yeah. So Casey Neistat, the YouTuber, a huge YouTuber, ebbs and flows in and out of retirement.
Yeah.
And he only because he's doing fine now. He had a thing where he would always have, I believe it was The Godfather running in the background on his monitors. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like
in his New York
office
studio. Yeah.
He would always have, regardless of wherever, if he was in the office, whatever he was shooting or vlogging or filming, if his main screens, his monitor panels were in view, he just had The Godfather running on repeat. And it was just because he was such a fan of the movie.
Right.
This was last week or so. I kind of, every once in a while I get burnt out on music, like having music as like a white noise kind of thing. So I went to Amazon. I'm like looking for something to just kind of have on in the background,
like a noisemaker,
right? Just something that every once in a while, I'll use it to like distract me, to get my eyes up off of my focus point. To watch something to change my distraction, and I'll stand up because it's usually on a higher row of the monitors. So I'll stand up and I'll do stand up stuff if I'm listening to music, something to get me out of the seat. So I'm looking for a movie, something to put on that's not music anymore, and I put on West Wing, season 1. I'm like, I always liked this. The writing was always really good. I loved all the actors. So I have that running in the background, and I think it's season 1, episode 2 or 3. One of the main characters gets prompted for like it was essentially like in the event of a biological threat, he gets a card that where to go in a situation where X amount of protected personnel have to go when paged. Like, you get this, you go here, you present this card, and you go and you get escorted out, kind of a thing.
Right.
And he's going through this like crisis kind of thing because one of the examples he gets is he's talking about the fallout implications of someone taking like a teaspoon of smallpox and just dropping it somewhere. And he walks through this small conversation piece about like a viral outbreak that forces the entire country to go into a lockdown. And this is a show that I can't remember when season 1 was, but they are writing literally about the COVID-19 scenario
right
before it happens. Like, in this show, I'll probably put the episode or something in the description of the YouTube episode. But it was like we literally just went through it, and it's a hypothetical for him. Right. He's talking about someone dropping a pathogen somewhere, and it spreads out of control because we don't have a vaccine for it. Like, and I'm like, this happens.
Yeah, we lived that.
This happens.
Yeah.
Like, real life shit happens.
Yeah.
God, I love that show.
I haven't watched it.
I could watch that. That is my Godfather. I've realized that is my Godfather thing. Like, I can watch that. The social science and political science and historical stuff that they throw in there with the writing of the Constitution and the way government works and blah, blah, blah. It is like as close as I can get to going back to D.C. and experiencing landmarks and being in some of those places. Such an amazing show, and I've been skipping my music the last week and a half and just queuing up season 1, watch it and let it go.
Yeah.
Like, God, what great writing, great show.
At the office when I worked in our tech support department, we had what's in the movie? Yes, it's the
Dude, Where's My Car?
No, the movie where he's it's famous movie. I just can't think of the name of it.
Forrest Gump.
No, he's the sword fighting. And,
Zorro.
No, and also
Princess Bride.
Yes. So we have Princess Bride in that building on a loop.
Oh, yeah?
And I have now seen that movie.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
750 times or more easily.
Wow. That's more than my wife. And she would be jealous.
Dude, and you just catch it at any time. It'd be in the middle of whatever. And you just, oh, here we go.
My name is
It's the fight scene, or it's the part where
you've killed my father.
Yeah.
Prepare to die.
Or the snakes and the eels in the river or whatever. Yeah.
It's a beast of unimaginable something.
Yeah. I love that. Or the fire swamp and you know, all that stuff. I mean,
to blave.
There's so much good stuff in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway. But yeah, no, I totally. I think for me, that would probably be because I've already seen Princess Bride 1,000 times. I really like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I could just have that going in the background and be happy.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. Maybe I'll just get a second monitor and just put that on.
And you saw that Better Call Saul just ended. People like that too.
That
got really good reviews.
It is very good. I've seen all the seasons up until the current one because the current one's not streaming yet.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I finished Breaking Bad while I was sick and then went looking for... Because I knew that Better Call Saul was ending. And I thought, oh, that's right. I got a whole season to catch up on.
Yeah.
And they don't have it on Netflix yet. So they're only up to whatever the last season, the season prior to the season is. So I was like, damn it. So that's when I started watching Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did finish.
Yes. And there's only 6 shows, right?
Yeah. Well, if you saw him return Lola and that was your joke.
Yeah.
He's just a droid courier.
He's just a courier. He's just FedEx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's your droid. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then he goes back to Tatooine or whatever.
Just
see ya.
Waits out the rest of his days.
Here I just landed and we couldn't thank you enough. But not come in and have a meal or hang out for a couple days and rest up but here's your droid, Leia, and I'm gonna get back on it right now and I'm out.
And bye.
Yeah. Don't invite him.
Just
don't
like
offer.
Us going over to Mahaney. Just like, bink, hey, here's your, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bink, bink, see you later. I guess warp speed or hyperspeed will do that to you.
Fascinating conversation we had about that show, though.
Yes.
I like that stuff. I like finding just funny things in there. Like...
you talk about the buttons.
The buttons and and I didn't know this was a thing because it's not like I'm in communities where we're talking about this stuff. But I just happen to notice, like, they have advanced technology, obviously, if they're traveling through space at the way they do.
Right.
Lightsabers, like phaser guns and all this shit.
Right.
But then they're slicing up meat and he's putting it in a piece of
like canvas
burlap.
Yeah.
And then like folding it up and stuffing it in his pocket. So it's like they have no food safety. Where's this Glad container or Ziploc at least?
How are they preserving this raw fooding
out in the middle of a desert?
Yeah,
in a semi meat factory thing.
Yeah,
I don't understand. But there's no fridge anywhere, no frozen nothing, freezers. I just think that's bizarre.
They have all this protection of the food and the quality of food, but they can't figure out. They have to like use all of these moisture evaporators in order to get water. Yeah. Like, so you clearly we're advanced enough to not worry that we're hacking up this carcass for who knows how many days or weeks.
Yeah, because
in the middle of the desert,
giant operation.
Oh yeah,
with all these imported people.
I mean, how often does a beast of this size leave its carcass rotting in the fucking desert?
Did they kill it?
Yeah.
Did they hunt it?
Is this right?
Did they just
fishing?
Happen upon it? Oh, here's a carcass. We should go collect its meat.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna hunk a chunk off, and you're gonna leave the rest of it on the table.
Yeah,
and just go home.
Maybe there's like the meat storage union is what handles the cleanup.
Yeah, I can't pick up.
No, I'm just a chopper.
I just slice it and put it in my thing, and then I go.
Yeah,
that's for them.
I'm a portioner.
Yeah,
I am not a put awayer.
Right.
And. I hope. Are you going to tarp that thing? Or
I mean, at least they're in a tent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The sun isn't like cooking it for them right there.
And they all like you're watching them in that like bus. Yeah. They all look haggard and dirty and
downtrodden,
burnt to shit and sunburnt and like they've all been working on a engine something.
Like they've been in a coal mine?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, no one's worried about the dirt here? Like, where is this meat going? Is this for dog food or, you know?
And here it's Obi-Wan Kenobi has this big hunk of meat that he wrapped up in a loincloth.
Yeah.
And then
He's like, I'm going to feed this to my camel.
I'll be eating this later. It'll taste very seasoned.
Yeah. One for me, one for the Opie.
Yeah. And is he working for credits? I don't know. What's happening here? I don't even know. You know?
Yeah.
Did they take taxes out? What tax bracket?
What's your Social Security number, sir? So we can make sure some of your salary goes to the Empire.
That's right.
You're like, Anakin Skywalker.
Nice.
555.
All fives for Anakin.
Yeah, I got lucky. You know, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that stuff cracks me up. But the button one was interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see how if we can get this right. So
Mike says that panels that are interacted with always have 6 buttons.
6 buttons. Every panel in Star Wars has 6 buttons.
If it's interacted with.
Right.
Or if it doesn't have 6 buttons, it has
a lever.
It has a lever and some other number of
some
buttons.
other number of buttons.
Yeah.
So that and
if it's not interacted with, it can have whatever.
Any number of buttons.
Yeah.
Right. So he was postulating that any interaction with an interface.
Yeah.
Are we not working?
I just didn't see any meters down there.
Wow. There we go.
Okay.
Now you'll mute that.
A little concerned.
The postulate that Mike had that we learned was fabricated, but it was a great mind puzzle.
Right.
Was that anything anyone touched in the Star Wars universe all had 6 buttons, or if it didn't have 6 buttons, it had a lever and then a number of buttons.
Now hold on before you get there, because I did notice that someone Obi-Wan used a panel that didn't have a lever or 6 buttons, and it had a thing he stuck something in.
Like when he bought his ticket?
No, his
travel ticket?
I think he was going to the big triangular building.
The Sith prison? Sith?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was going there, and he was trying to get into which I think is fabulous that they have all of these facilities that use the common keys and what device
they're all carried over from the Republic before they became the Empire.
I think it's fascinating. Anyways, but he went to a door and stuck a thing into the panel and got the door open.
Yeah.
And so that sort of right there, we're like, I don't know about that. I mean, I just saw this happen because I just happened to be watching it.
Yeah. So when he said it, I was like, because I thought, and I had a reply that was like, I think I need to see the thing, because I swear he's either mentioned it or I had read it somewhere and thought, okay, so clearly this has made it into Mike's circle too, and there's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's the middle of the day, I should be working. No, I'm going to put some cycles into this shit. I'm like,
buttons?
Buttons? Okay. But the way he had described it, I'm like, no. Okay, so wait, I got to make sure I understand the rules so Mike doesn't fuck me sideways on this shit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, so if it's this.
I saw you come back to the well.
And then, I'm like, no, Daddy's thirsty. This and this, these are my exceptions, right. And I had a couple right off the bat, because what stuck in my mind, always, is the whole sequence where they're lighting or initiating the Death Star, and the guys with the black helmets, and they're like, button, and they pull a lever. And I'm like, I need to find that sequence, because that's used in so many memes that it's like, okay, that'll be easy for me to find the footage of.
Well, what I wasn't clear on, and I thought that he said this, was that he was only talking about the Obi-Wan.
Oh, see, I thought he was talking...
Or maybe it was all of them, but I just...
my understanding of how he phrased it was, anything in the Star Wars universe.
Anything. Okay.
Anything.
All right.
And that's easy for me to buy into because there is such a retentiveness to the lore in Star Wars and like the holding of account like through all of
to
like
just keep things up
right
for
to keep
appearances
things like
or whatever.
the systemic use of like the stormtrooper armor and depending on what legion you're in and what kind of things you have and blah 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 blah, blah. Like
Oh, man,
it wouldn't surprise me
You're
that
going
like
right over my head.
yeah that all of the doors are all this way specifically because Lucas said all of the doors need to be like this. All of the panels need to be like this. And it would be some sort of joke to...
That would be a really tall... I mean, that would be a really tall ask.
It probably would, but... So, I'm off and running with this fucking thing.
he started it with 3 movies, right?
Right.
And then that would have had to infiltrate all of the next 4 movies.
Right.
And then all of the other sets.
Right, yes. And the cartoons,
that would
if they were going to be that retentive. So, I went looking, and then I think I found a picture of the Death Star, and I posted that, and he's like, yeah, but it has a lever. And I went, oh, fuck. Okay, confused. All right. So and then I think I re-clarified my rules. Okay. And I was going to go to... I went to Darth Vader's control panel.
On his chest. All right.
And that has 3 buttons.
Does he interact with it?
But he doesn't interact with it.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay, fucker. And I'm like, yeah, but does a lightsaber cutting through it count as an interacting? I'm like, all right.
No, because...
I'm like, I'll let this one slide. Because eventually that fucker is going to have to... Okay, human doesn't interact with it, but in episode 1 of Obi-Wan, we see the plate getting injected into it. So a human touching it is not interacting, but a robot.
I mean,
Either way,
I mean, I wouldn't consider that an interaction.
You know, gray areas. But I let it slide either way because one, the interaction, and I didn't think you could count. Like, were some of those just indicators or some buttons? Does a two-way toggle count as... So then where there's actually 6 buttons?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I don't have to split hairs.
Because I think the big ones for me would be all of the door panel access points. Because there's plenty of interactions with those.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And especially in the first series of movies.
Yes.
In the first 3 movies, or 4 movies.
Yeah. You know, I was going to start pulling up like the door on Return of the Jedi when they're sitting at the door and they're trying to like hotwire shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, so I've got this one in case I need to go here.
Uh-huh.
And then the first episode when they try to lower the door and they're... Yes. Okay. So
yeah.
I'm thinking of a number of scenes where doors are involved, and I'm like, okay, so I can go here. I know this will be easily resourced on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember what my fucking Google query was, but it was like Star Wars doors buttons, and at the bottom of this search result, I had some random thing with the Mandalorian. It was when which you probably haven't. You have. Wait, yeah, you have.
Yeah.
It was when it was like a GIF of when Grogu was eating all the cookies and Mando was flying around and then he pukes.
Uh-huh.
And I totally just went down the rabbit hole of like watching Mandalorian Grogu memes, and that put me. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait. Like, there are a number of scenes where Mando is piloting the Razor Crest. I'm like, someone has to have the entire Razor Crest control panel.
I think you just have to start from the beginning and watch all the movies.
Right. And I'm like, someone's got this reenacted because everyone fucking loves that show so much. I'm like, all right, so Razor Crest control panels. And that got me to the scene with Grogu trolling him with the he's like on the side, and he's the one I posted in the chat, and that was he's navigating or something, and Grogu like reaches over on the sly and he hits a button, and then Mando like turns it off over on his control panel, and then Grogu reaches over and he hits it again.
Okay.
And the meme is they're the internet went wild with like him trying to turn on various types of music. And I had to find one that was in high contrast, and I've zoomed in that shit. I'm like, how many buttons are on this panel?
That's funny.
There's not 6. Okay, there's a line here separated, and boom, there it was. And then Mike goes, man,
that didn't take you long.
I made that up. I'm like, fuck!
What's hilarious about that now is that in a side chat, he told me he had teed you up for that.
Oh, fuck yeah. I put it in the chat. I'm like, I'm a grown-ass man. There is no way I win this as an adult. I'm a grown-ass man.
Right.
The moment I went down this rabbit hole, I forfeited my adult card because I was like, nerd.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was serious, and the next thing you know, I get a side pop-up, and I'm
Watch
like...
Jay run with this shit.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah, I bet.
What's happening? He was like, well, I implanted this in his head like months ago, and he's like, this is the culmination of months of work, kind of thing. And I'm
I
like,
believe it.
I can't wait to see how this works out because he'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. He did.
So,
it was good. It was a good one.
Yeah.
That was fun though. Fucking nerds.
That's the way you play your friend.
Yeah.
You like. It's months. Who else did that? There was like a TV show where someone they did real long gags on each other. Yeah. I can't think of what it is, but that stuff's great. I want to say Scrubs.
Was it?
Maybe.
That seems like the kind of show that would do that.
Yeah. Anyway. So that was good times. I enjoyed that conversation because I don't know. I enjoy Star Wars. I don't get into that kind of stuff very much. But as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, motherfucker, he's putting that food in that dirty ass thing and stick it, and it's meat, and they're out in the desert, and there's no fridges anywhere. Like people there just don't care about food safety, So that cracked me up.
It's what'd you think of it? The series?
It was good. I like it because it gives you like context on stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating how they can come up with storylines leading up to things you've already seen and make it interesting.
Right. You made the comment. You're like, well, I know he doesn't die.
Right.
Right.
I know he doesn't die because he ends up in the first film. Right.
And there's and that was what was always I think some of the extended universe books may have filled in that gap, but when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they tossed all that stuff out. And I was never a follower of the books. But after seeing Ewan play Obi-Wan and watching the Clone Wars cartoon series and
which I have not seen,
and the Rebels cartoon series,
which I have not seen,
they have had seeded a number of, man, I would like to know fruits about what Obi-Wan did in that time.
Where did it come from?
Yeah, to where it became like, man, what led to that moment? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're just a follower of the movies, you see, or even the original 4, 5, and 6. You see him as this guy, and it's like kind of obscured, and you get that there's a relationship there, but he's a sacrificial hero, and then you see the prequels with Ewan, and you're kind of like, man, you see that he's a wreck, and that story kind of ends, and here's the onset of Vader, and he goes away to oversee the protection of Luke, and you're kind of like, oh. And really, it's the 2 cartoons that fill that gap that give you a little bit more of like, oh, well, I would really like to know. And this series on Disney Plus
answers those questions.
Has helped fill in some of that gap. It's like, man, that there's a bunch of really great stories to tell in here.
Yeah.
With great actors, and I felt that they did that.
Yeah.
With the series, and using Ewan to continue to play, Obi-Wan Kenobi in a way that I found entertaining and enthralling to keep my interest on.
Here's what I want to know: is they have built this huge story, giant story, right?
Oh yeah,
over different movies and TV shows. What did they sit down at some point and plan all of this out, or are they going, okay, we're missing a hunk here. Let's fill in this with a show. This is going to be based on Obi-Wan to like tell his story. Has all this stuff been pre-figured out? Like
my understanding, it has.
Oh, okay.
Just to shorten it, yes, kind of like how they did when they sat down, like with Marvel and the first movie or so with Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, the first Iron Man. I think they had like maybe a 5-year plan of doing some Marvel characters and movies with tie-ins, and somewhere in there they decided, okay, so here's our 10-year plan and they arced the entire story together like that.
So I mean, I get that, but Star Wars goes back. The original 3 Star Wars films go back to the 70s.
Yes.
So was this? When was the planning for this? Like story arc, where did it?
Well,
where did it really come together?
1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 still had George's like.
They were based on books, right? So
no, they all came from George Lucas.
Oh, I thought they were based on books.
I mean, he took inspiration from books, but he created the universe from his own mind.
Okay. Crazy son of a bitch.
And then, so Lucas had direct ties to pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And Dave Filoni, who is like a George Lucas prodigy, essentially like the second George Lucas, his hands are directly tied to the Clone Wars cartoon, the Mandalorian live action, and the Rebels cartoon, and the Ahsoka live action that's coming, and maybe even a couple other things that I'm forgetting. And the way he's telling all of those stories is trying to tie in the movies and George Lucas's intention for how characters would have, and then putting his own twist on it. So they are all intended to loosely, where things kind of go sideways are the 7, 8, and 9 movies where J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and then J.J. Abrams directed, and kind of they threw Luke Skywalker in there and Leia and Han Solo, but they were really kind of winging it to a degree, and I think that's where you get a huge like separation of whether or not people liked 7, 8, 9 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and the cartoons.
It's funny because like I don't typically look at if I watch a film and I find it entertaining, then I like it.
Right.
It's when I watch a film and it doesn't feel right or whatever. I mean, I don't necessarily put it into like the whole. I never really looked at it as a piece of the whole puzzle. It's like, okay, I like, this film exists and I understand its purpose.
Right.
It has a place in this thing. I just don't care for it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I approach stuff.
Yeah.
That's just.
And some people, I think that's what makes the Star Wars universe, like Star Trek or even Lord of the Rings, the fan base tends to over-criticize something if it feels like it's not part of the whole, and consumers of entertainment like yourself who aren't necessarily versed in the grander overarching universal story, who just want to be entertained by a movie than almost feel overridden or tainted by the perspective of fanboys.
Right.
It's like, I just want to watch a movie, and this has light swords and mystical wizards doing space magic. It's like, this was a decent movie.
Yeah.
Like, why should I hate it just because you think the way that they portrayed Luke Skywalker,
or tied it in somehow,
wasn't like, Leia can't do that. That's not a force power. Like, I'm like, I enjoyed it. I thought that was cool. Like, she like came back from the dead almost. That was amazing. Like, let it go.
Well, I have a better appreciation and a better understanding of the Star Wars realm now that I've seen all these other series and stuff. I do intend to go back and watch the cartoons. I just haven't done it.
I don't know if Mike's finished. Mike dabbled into it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's like, I have a hard time finding a cartoon series to be a serious contender for a live action film or series.
Sure.
And so it doesn't pique my interest necessarily to go watch an animated series for that kind of information.
Yeah.
So the priority is not going to be for me to go watch those series.
Some of those episodes of the it's a hard sell. I totally understand. I'm like, why would I? And there are some episodes that are just chaff. Like, this is a cartoon. I'm not really interested in.
It's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
but
were a cartoon.
Right.
A live action movie.
Right. But there are some story arc episodes in those cartoons. I think the 7 seasons of Clone Wars, and I don't know how many seasons of Rebels.
7 seasons of Clone Wars?
Yeah. But there are some arcs that are told from a writing perspective better than some movies I've seen. And the ending episodes of this last season of Clone Wars is one of the most riveting pieces of visual entertainment I've ever watched. Like the way that they tell some of the stuff, the imagery, and it's a fucking cartoon.
Yeah,
it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Well, you see what it took for me to to watch a bunch of stuff was be homesick.
Yeah,
you know I mean?
feel
I don't have. It's not like when I am home and we're entertaining, we're watching stuff together, and my wife just isn't into it as so it's like I don't have the opportunity, very few times, to partake in some of the things that I want to watch. That's why I'm sick. Feeling like shit on the couch.
Yeah,
cool. I'm gonna binge watch. I'm gonna
X,
Y, and
watch
Z.
some stuff. Yeah.
So that's the other difficulty for me is getting the time to be able to start the thing to get interested in it. And
well, that I know exactly what you're talking about because that's how I used COVID. Like I caught up on a number of shows.
Yeah.
And then once I could go somewhere. I'm like, well, now I've got no time to watch TV. So
yeah.
And I think just in the last 2 weeks, they've released a bunch of shows, I think, on Netflix and Apple TV, where I'm like, well, fucking now I'm behind again, and I've got the 3rd final season of C came out. I think there's a 3rd season of For Mankind that came out or is out. Top Gun came out on Prime, so I bought that, but I haven't had a chance to watch.
You got to see Uncoupled.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
I am. So we had from the Peanut Gallery last week. My wife John at me about She-Hulk. I'm watching She-Hulk.
Right.
I watched last week's episode on my own in the office. Like, oh, so watch this. No one else is watching.
Yeah.
Last night, I'm in the living room and I was turning on the TV. And I can't remember what I was going to watch. I think I was just going to do music. And I hear from the kitchen, "Did you watch the last episode of She-Hulk?" And I went,
"This is the lawyer one, right?"
Yeah.
Because it just seems like a weird concept.
And I went, "Yeah." And then she peeks around the corner. She's like, "Did you watch the last episode of She-Hulk? Are you caught up?" I'm like, "Yeah." was I not supposed to watch that alone? And she's like,
Busted.
I'm like, oh, would you like to watch She-Hulk with me now? The Marvel series that you weren't interested in, that you said last week that you weren't really paying attention to, you want to watch that. She's like, hashtag I love my wife, but she would want to watch She-Hulk.
Right.
And the next episode comes out tomorrow, dear. Or tonight at midnight. I'll be sure to wait for you. We'll catch up together because I know you like to watch She-Hulk. I like that way more than I like Miss Marvel. It's decent.
Now it's funny because we were talking about Miss Marvel, and I was like, it didn't seem like anyone in my house was interested.
Right.
And I mentioned that to my wife and my daughter, and they were both like, "Oh, we totally liked it."
Really?
And I'm like, okay.
When did they watch it?
I don't think they did. I have no idea.
Oh. So
I think maybe because I was like, man, this show's not very good. They just stopped watching it or something. I don't know.
But they liked what they saw? Or did they actually finish it?
No, I don't think. Not as far as
no one in my house made it past episode 1.
Oh, I mean, I watched the entire series. Oh, you did?
Yes, I finished it.
I think we made it into like show 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was just like kind of a yawner. I didn't. Yeah, I was like, "Where's this go? I'm bored. I don't get it."
Yeah. I had a hard time with like a superhero that didn't have a hardship in earning the responsibility. Ow! Bird attack me.
Yeah. I was like, I just want to get a ball peen hammer and a nail and just start
into your eyeballs.
In my eyeball.
So speaking of wives, because we're almost at time, we're close to time. So I ran across this on Twitter.
A tweet?
It was a tweet. It was a tweet.
On Twitter?
Yeah, on the Twitternators.
Okay.
And it was someone asking a question, and it was, they were essentially taking a poll, and it was, for those of you that have significant others, if a friend comes to you and tells you a secret, is it presumed that you would tell that secret to your spouse?
Okay.
Like, by default.
Yeah.
So if I said something to you, but I didn't say, don't tell this to anybody. If I said something like, I have a cocaine habit, would it be presumed that because you are married, you would go home and in confidence with your wife be like, man, Jay's got a cocaine problem?
I would think so.
You would?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, if it was told to me in confidence, maybe not.
Like I need to, off the record, Jim. I have a cocaine problem.
If it's something like that I've been sworn to secrecy, then probably not. But general information.
But if I didn't say explicitly, I can't have you telling Shan, it would be presumed that your wife, your marital bond,
probably
means you would be conversing and it would get to your...
Yeah, I think so.
I asked Venus, I'm like, is there stuff?
No.
And she's like, no, we both had the same perspective that there would be context. Like pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like there is stuff that we chat with the guys.
Yeah.
That
it doesn't make it into that conversation.
I don't tell the wife, but it's not relevant for her to know. I'm like, but I've heard pretty high-tiered stuff, particularly during Ingress days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was a confidence man to a number of people.
Oh, yeah.
And serious stuff. But it was not something that I thought warranted her to know, or I would want to bring her into that, kind of criticality.
Right.
Not that it was unsafe, but there were stuff that I just, okay, that ends here.
Mm-hmm.
But it was surprising the number of people are like, I tell. Even if you told me no, I would tell my husband. I would tell my wife.
Yeah.
I would tell my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Like, I think some stuff, like when you
not everything has to be. shared,
not everything is. It was interesting.
Sometimes it's just not that important of a piece of information,
right?
It's just no, I don't.
Yeah, I think it's regardless of the, I have the utmost amount of trust and respect for my wife, but there's just some stuff
you just don't need to know it all, lady.
You don't. Yeah. Hashtag I love my wife.
Hashtag I love your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey. Anyway. So hey.
So is it time?
That's time.
All right.
Yeah. We're at the end.
Well, you should take a test for sure.
Take a test?
Yeah, if you're not feeling under the weather,
take a test.
Take a test.
You should return the cart.
Should wash your hands for sure.
Wear the mask.
Wash your ass.
Did you wash your hands first?
I did it already.
Did you?
Yeah.
Check your oil, Tony.
And return the cart.
Register to vote.
And do the kindness.
We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.